Hello everyone and welcome back to another edition of the Tea Brief. Hope you've all been well. Where have I been? Because obviously I didn't do a tea brief after Bayford. A number of reasons for that. The main one has ultimately been that this month has coincided with me starting a new position in my work, and I've been very busy. And to be perfectly honest, I just thought, you know what, I don't really have the time to do a tea brief, and also I have the time to talk about Bayford, for example. Not that it didn't go well. I did win my SP60 in the morning. Here's the trophy, new trophy. Look at that, isn't that absolutely fantastic? So here it is, and there it goes. I'm not gonna talk too much about Bayford in this one, to be honest. Yeah, it didn't go, it went fine, I won. But there's just a number of things about that happened at Bayford that I was like, you know what, I don't want to talk about this. It's not that great. So the main thing I want to talk about in this tea brief is the Lydd SP60, which happened yesterday. No endurance for Lydd, because basically after the Bayford endurance, it was only ever going to be me and Tom. And after what happened at the Bayford endurance, me and Tom just sort of went, you know what, let's give it a miss. Let's save some money, give it a miss, because it was only going to be the two of us again. And the thought of carting out 244 odd quid for that just wasn't one that we wanted to do. So there we go. That's why there were no free swans yesterday. So that's why I want to talk basically about the Lydd SP60, because what happened in that race or in the whole morning basically encapsulates why I love Club 100 racing and why I still go off and do it. Because recently I've been sort of thinking, like, do I actually like karting anymore? Like, have I just been doing it a little bit too much? I just felt a bit sort of like uninfused about it. But what happened yesterday has basically reignited that enthusiasm and certainly sort of encapsulated what I love about it. So that's what I'm mainly going to be talking about. But I'm sure you'll love to know what happened in the Bayford endurance, why I ultimately didn't talk about it. Qualifying didn't go well. The race start didn't go well. So I brought Tom in like as soon as possible, and it worked. Things were going well. I went out. My first stint was going very, very nicely indeed. And then ultimately, coming into the pits, I crashed. In going into the pit lane, and that ruined it. Whereas we could have finished like top 5 in the, or certainly somewhere close to the top 5 in the Clubman's. Yeah, I don't know where we finished. It was a really sort of like, well, what's the bloody point sort of moment. So yeah, not great. And we just sort of moved on past it. That's why we weren't there. So yeah, so I ultimately, the Lydd endurance, I ended up engineering for Slow Coach Racing, my mates' team. So that was nice. But yeah, let's get into it then. The Lydd SP60. So I rocked up to Lydd knowing that the people who were the SHWs that were there, if all went well, I should win. Because that's what happened at Bayford. That's why I'm not really fussed by the Bayford SP60. Because ultimately, I finished 10th and 11th, and the next super heavyweight driver was in the 20s. It was a win that I didn't really have to do anything for. And I know that might sound really arrogant of me, but that's ultimately what it was. I can't hide from that fact. So I came into Lydd thinking, do I not qualify and like fight through and like earn the victory, I suppose. And I thought, nah, can't do that. Let's just carry on as per normal. And thank God I did, because my pace was nowhere. It was absolutely nowhere, man. Like I qualified like 23rd or so. Yeah, so it was 23rd on like a 45 something. I don't even know. But that just sort of reinforced me. Like, you know what? Me and Lydd don't get on. You know, normally in qualifying, I'm like, this season at least, Wilton, GYG, Bayford, I've been in the top 10. Actually, Bayford I was 16th, I think. But anyway, don't worry about Bayford. So yeah, I was like, okay. And I had Stig Elboff, the Stig, right in front of me, 22nd, and Jamie Garside up in 19th. So he was 2 carts in front of me on the pole side. So I was like, okay, I've got to fight. I've properly got to fight for this one, because I am where I am, and obviously I'm not very fast around this track. Just didn't work out. Qualifying just didn't work out. I just couldn't get turn 1. It just kept going wrong. So yeah, carried on with it like that. That was the mindset. Like, right, I've got to fight for this. So went into the first race thinking like, right, I should hopefully get a good getaway here. Let's see. Let's just see what happens. To be honest, and something else just to bear in mind at this point, I've actually got quite badly bruised ribs at the moment, so I was a little bit worried about how I was actually going to be able to perform. Was it going to be too painful? Fortunately, it wasn't. But at the start of race one, there was a bit of an instant. It all sort of came across me, and I got away with it just like by just all that happened. I just hit the guy's front, so there was no side to side contact, and I got away with not getting like more injured, which was actually quite a good thing. Like I slag my rip protector off quite a bit because it like stuff keeps falling out of it, but it did its job yesterday. So fair play to it. If you're looking at rip protector, the OMP, the one I've got, actually I'll show it to you. This one, it's the cheapest on the market, but it does do its job. I mean, look, it's. I've only had this one for a couple of years. The previous one I had for like years, and it never got into a condition this bad. I mean, look at it. It's very flimsy, but ultimately it does do the job. And if you're looking to get a rib protector and don't want to spend too much money, that's the best one to get. It does work. So got through the start. I think through that instant, I was then leading the SH. I was like, right, okay, things are back to normal. Let's push on. I remember seeing a big group in front of me. I saw Alex Pritchard spin off again because that happened to him at Bayford as well. Shame for that. And I just thought, okay, things getting normal. Let's push on. Let's try and get towards sort of the top 15, top 10. And I was racing this guy. I can't remember exactly what his get up was, but I got past him, and then he got back past me. I thought, okay, brilliant. I went back past him, and he went back past me again, and then went through Jamie. I was like, shit, okay, that's not gone to plan. And then I think I just got a bit swamped. I haven't watched back my race one footage, but I just got a bit swamped then. I just couldn't get back past this guy. And eventually, once I had, Jamie was long gone. He was well down the road. I thought, okay, this isn't great, but at least I only still one position behind him. But then I noticed there were two guys he was fighting. The guy with the beautiful beard, and also a chap by the name of Clark. He has Clark on the back of his suit. And Alex came back past me and tapped the back of him like, stick on my arse, we're going to go through it. And I could not follow him. I could not keep up with him. And I think at that point I sort of thought, maybe I've just got a bit of a dodgy cart here, or I'm just crap. And so naturally I blamed the cart. And yeah, as time went on, it suddenly became obvious. Yeah, the cart it just wasn't the one. Like, I was oversteering so much through the long left-hander, it was ridiculous. And then I think I saw Jamie get past the two guys, and then all of a sudden two guys came through on me. Carl Badger Walker, I think is his name. And some other guy, I don't know what his name was. But then we eventually got up to the guy with the beautiful beard and Clark, and I got past the guy with the beard. Although this is when I really knew I had a bad cart, because following him down the back straight towards the final corner, pulled out to like get the move down, and all of a sudden he started driving away from me. So it's just like, well, I can't really do anything about this, but I eventually got past him, and I got past Clark as well on the final lap, a dive into the right before the long left, and it worked. So that was quite nice. So I finished 20th, and Jamie was 17th. So it wasn't a disaster, but I remember in the off bit, I was like, what am I going to do here? Like, I need to do something a bit differently here because it's not working. So I just switched my mindset. Normally I'm sort of like, right, let's just be conservative and let's see what happens. This time I was like, nah, I've got to go for it. And in the off bit, I had a chat with Stephen Jennings, he was the chap who accused me of trying to kill him after Bayford. That's all water under the bridge now. But he gave me a sort of a tip how to do the long left-hander, because I just could not get it. It was really just, I just couldn't go through it. So he gave me a tip, and I thought, okay, fine, I'll try and do that. Thank you very much. And the joke was like, oh, just don't overtake me now. I was like, you're starting sixth, I'm not going to get anywhere near you. So yeah, got into the second race, and I just knew what my tactic was. I had a feeling that because I was going to be on the left-hand side, I was going to have the inside line for the first corner, for the second part of the first corner at Lydd, because it goes right, left, right. And I thought there's a very good chance I'm going to be alongside Jamie when we hit that left-hander, or I'm going to be as near as makes no difference to it. And I was. And I did something that I wouldn't normally do, but I had to show, like, I had to sort of scare him a little bit. And basically going through the left-hander, come out of it, and I knew he was there. I knew he was probably right by me. I just moved right, just to sort of like not to force him off. I just want to make that clear. I wasn't trying to force him off. I was just sort of saying to him, "You're not coming past me, sunshine. Not a chance." So that was that. So I was passing. I was like, right, stage 1 complete. Now we've got to try and put enough of a gap between us in order for me to obviously win. And so going into the second chicane, I saw there was a gap on the outside, and I just sort of threw it down there and gained a few positions. I think I gained like 4 positions on the first lap, which is rare for me. Normally I'm sort of like I'm quite stale, and I'm like a bad bit of bread. But on the way down towards the final corner, whereas as I mentioned in the first race, I'd pull out the slipstream and all of a sudden the guy would start going quicker. I suddenly felt this kart in race 2, I felt it behaving differently. The engine it was burbling in a different way to normal, or certainly to how the first one had. And I thought I might have possibly one of the greatest Club 100 karts here, because the amount I suddenly gained towards like on this back straight, it was like I was here, the guy was there, all of a sudden it was like that. I was like, hang on a second, we might be in luck here. And then as the race progressed, I suddenly noticed as well the grip from the tyres was sensational. So whereas in the first race I had a kart that had a not great engine and tyres that weren't gripping correctly, now I had a kart with a fantastic engine and tyres that were gripping. Like I was coming through the long left-hander, barely oversteering. I mean, I was a bit at the start, but by the end of it, it was so planted. I was like, oh, this is great. This is one of the best Club 100 karts I've ever driven. And that just sort of reflected in the race. I just kept getting these moves done. And most of it was just slipstreaming down the back straight and just taking the move. I did a couple of moves into the second chicane as well, which isn't something that I'd normally do, because it's one of those, if you go for that move, it is quite a clumsy move, and you are open to a dive down the inside, and you have to defend yourself into the hairpin, and then that compromises you for the rest of the race. So that was something to consider. But yeah, ultimately, we did. It was such a good race. And I had a nice little scrap with Tim Williams as well. I eventually came home, finishing 12th. And Jamie was down in 18th. Originally we were 13th and 19th on the road, but turns out Alex Pritchard was underweight, so he got excluded. So that was 12th and 18th, and so I'd made up the gap, and I came home with this, of course. And I'm not gonna lie, this I think is the best. I think I say this every single time, but this, I think, of all the winning trophies I've got, I mean, you can see them all up there. Certainly in the SP60, this is the best one, because I really, really, really had to fight for this one. Ultimately, sums up why I love Club 100, because you get those moments where it's just like, what am I doing? Like, this has just not worked. It's not worked. And what's always happened for me is when I'm in that situation, like let's say qualifying's not gone well, and then race 1's not gone well, I'm like, I'm so down and dejected. It's like, well, I've got to try, but we'll see what happens. That's when I'm at the most dangerous, and that's when stuff like this happens, and it just gets your blood pumping, and it gets you so excited about it, and I love it. So yeah, that is ultimately it for the tea brief. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you've enjoyed the ramblings. Yeah, again, I am calling this the best winners trophy I've got in the SP60. I think the Buckmore one from this year, that one on the left, just next to the endurance trophy, that was still probably the best one of the year, just because it was like, this is brilliant. Like 5th place in the endurance is fantastic. But certainly SP60 perspective, I think is this my 6th winner? Yes, it is. Yes, 6th winners trophy. This one's the best. So absolutely fantastic. Next time out, Rye House. At the moment, it is just meant to be the endurances. I'm actually technically I'm done for the SP60 this year, but I am obviously wanting to get into more rounds and hopefully be able to win the championship this year, because I think I've got a very good chance of that. But yeah, that is it for this. Thank you very much for watching. If you're still watching and you're not subscribed to the channel, please be sure to do so and hit that bell for notifications so that you know when a new edition of Rich T Racing comes out. Thank you very much for watching, and all I should say for now is ta-ta and farewell.